If you were turned into a magical girl out of nowhere, what would you do? This popular game is turning everyone's dreams into reality, but it's hiding a deadly secret. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the death game in Magical Girl Raising Project. This innocent girl is about to be trapped in a fight for her life. Koyuki here is your everyday teenager, and she loves magical girls. Taking the bus with her friends, they ask Koyuki if she believes the recent magical girl sightings are real. They flick through the news, seeing stories of magical girls helping civilians out in all kinds of situations. The friends realize that Koyuki really likes magical girls, so they introduce her to a new game called Magical Girl Raising Project. Koyuki admits though that she's already on the game and she loves to play it. However, this cute little game is about to turn into something much more sinister. That night, she plays the game and decides to stop when her mom calls her for dinner. She tries to quit, but she finds out that there's a secret event happening right now. The game's mascot, Fav, tells her that he's been following her progress throughout the game and has decided to appoint her as a real-life magical girl. A button is then shown on the screen and Koyuki decides to press it. Suddenly, she begins her transformation into the same magical girl she plays in the game, Snow White. Realizing that her lifelong dreams have just come true, she jumps in joy and hits the roof. Fav informs her that her physical abilities have been increased to extreme levels. He gives her a magical phone and tells her that there are 15 other magical girls in the city, each with unique abilities. Her ability is to hear the thoughts of those in trouble. Their goal is to collect as many magical candies as possible, showing how many people they've helped. He also tells her that no matter what she does, no civilians will be able to interact or see her. Okay, we've just been given a gift from the gods, and the possibilities are endless. We can do whatever we want, go wherever we like, and no one can tell us otherwise, at least for now. The first thing I would do is to try to steal a whole lot of money because I want to live a nice and easy life, you know what I mean? I would not be surprised if some of them haven't already done this. We're magical girls, we don't really have to play by the law, do we? I would be pretty darn excited, but also pretty darn careful with what's going on. Remember kids, if you're signing a contract, it's always important to read the fine print. Devil's in the details. We've completely signed our life away to a low-quality mobile game, and we have no idea what the reputation of this game company is like. In fact, it might do us some good to Google the company before making such a life-changing agreement, don't you think? Regardless, though, of the contractual obligations, we've already signed off and now we're locked into the magical girl life for good, and it might not end being as sweet as it is right now. Not only are we going out way past our bedtime, we still got to attend school and do all of that normal day-to-day crap, and we also need to consider what kind of effects this is going to have on our mental health, staying up every single night. It might be cool being a magical girl right now, but what happens when we grow up to have kids and other adult obligations? It might be a little bit of a pain in the ass to go stop crime at 3 in the morning when you gotta wake up at 6, feed the kids, take out the garbage, and then go to work. A week later, Fav tells her that she should meet up with the other magical girls and gives her the ability to enter a chat room with others like her. She enters the room and is greeted by the other magical girls who congratulate Koyuki on getting the highest amount of magical candies for this week. Koyuki is flattered, but she's about to find out that these new friends are going to want her dead very soon. She leaves the chat room and is given a message to meet one of the magical girls at a nearby tower. She travels to the destination and flies to the top of the tower to see another girl, and this mysterious girl introduces herself as La Pucelle and offers to introduce her to the duties of being a magical girl. She tells Koyuki that each magical girl has a different district of the city that they must protect, and that's when this pair of magical girls pass by to meet Koyuki. They introduce themselves as the outgoing Top Speed and the quiet but cool Ripple. Suddenly, La Pucelle reveals that she's actually a guy. What? Moving on, and that he's known Koyuki for a while, since they both went to the same elementary school and both loved the same game. A few days pass by and Fav announces that he'll be cutting in half the amount of magical girls as the mana of the city can't handle having 15 magical girls all at once. And he tells the girls that week by week, the magical girls with the least amount of candies will be cut until only 8 remain. The week after, the girls wait in the chat room to say who got the highest amount of magical candies for the week. The winner is announced as Koyuki, and the loser is announced as this light-hearted girl, and she admits that she might have been spending too much time in the chat room and says goodbye to the rest of the girls. Suddenly, a message says that that girl has been deleted. The real-life version of her sighs as she realizes that the fun is over. Fav tells her that she still has until midnight to use her magical girl abilities, and that's when she decides to dip into the fantasy world for one last time, looking over a little girl watching a princess roll by. Back in the real world, her mother walks in to see how she's doing, and she tries waking her daughter up, but she's shocked to find out that her daughter is dead. The night after, Koyuki and La Pucelle sit around wondering how that girl is doing, and they get a call from this holy girl, Sister Nana, and this ninja girl Winter Prison, who informs her that that girl has died, and every girl who loses their magical abilities will follow the same fate. Okay, holy shit. What everyone thought was an innocent game meant to help the citizens of this city has made a turn for the worse. Now everyone here could be an enemy, and we'll have to go from saving citizens to get candies to saving ourselves. Now I know power in numbers is an important thing, yes, and we have our trustworthy buddy La Pucelle, who seems really determined to protect us no matter what, and his sword looks like he can take out our enemies pretty dang easily. However, we need to consider the rules of this game and how we can abuse them to our advantage. It's pretty damn obvious that this magical candy thing is all a ploy to get us to fight. Being able to transfer between other magical girls makes no sense, and helping out civilians is not the most efficient way to stay alive. If I were Koyuki, since we know that there are 14 other girls still alive, and with the other mystery girl that hasn't come out of hiding yet, the most efficient way to satisfy the demands that Fav has given us is to join up with 7 other girls. With a group of 8, we'll take out the other 6 and destroy the mystery girl whenever she shows up. And of course, this is easier said than done, I know, considering that some girls already have paired up and might have relations that go beyond the game, like me and La Pucelle. Now, there is another option that might be a bit riskier. We know that every single magical girl in this game also exists in the real world, and that means that if they die in the real world, well, what happens, folks? They die in the game too. We all know that these girls live within the same city, or at least pretty damn close to it. If we found a way to track these girls in the real world, and it's not that hard through social media, we could follow them around during the day and try to take them out in the real world. While this might seem like a great idea on paper, this will also probably lead us to getting arrested for murder, so this option is definitely more of a last-ditch idea. All the girls enter the chat room to hear the announcement Fav is going to make. The doll tells them the truth. If they come up short with their magical candies or drop out of the game, they'll die in real life. Koyuki and La Pucelle sit at the top of the tower, wondering who the next 7 to die are going to be. She begins crying, and La Pucelle promises to protect her no matter what. That's when they get a notice informing them that they can transfer magical candies amongst one another. Meanwhile, another group of magical girls sit listening to their leader, and she tells them that this notice isn't meant to make sure everyone has equal candies. Rather, it means that they need to kill and steal from whoever has the most candies. Koyuki and La Pucelle read that a 16th girl will soon be revealed, and they're excited to see who she is, when suddenly, these 2 twins attack them on sight, and La Pucelle chases them down to a nearby shipyard, and the twins demand that she hand over her candies. Pissed off, La Pucelle attacks the twins and tells them to run off before she kills them. However, the twins have a plan up their sleeves, and they activate a trap, opening the ground below La Pucelle and trapping her inside. Meanwhile, the leader and Swim ambush Koyuki and tell her their true intentions. They're going to kill her, and they lured her best friend far away to make it easy. Suddenly, the leader casts a spell on her which freezes her completely and tells Swim to drain the girl of all of her candies. Back at the shipyard, La Pucelle reveals that she was never trapped and jumps out of the pit to attack the twins, and she notices them transform into an eagle and begins to fly away. That's when she realizes that the entire thing was a ploy to distract her from the tower. La Pucelle follows the twins and watches as Swim drains Koyuki of her candies. Angered, she increases the size of her sword and bangs the tower, causing everyone on top of it to fall off, and La Pucelle catches Koyuki and tells her that they need to get the candies back. The rankings will be released today, and she'll be put in last place. Okay, La Pucelle is a massive bro, and we should be doing whatever we can to save our own butts. She's offering to help us out, and we should be taking whatever help that we can get. If I was Koyuki, I need to be very aware of the fact that I basically have zero combat abilities and am totally useless. Not only that, we're facing absolute killers that can easily hunt us down and murder us in brutal fashion. Our first order of business is to get our candies back. If we don't, we'll die. At this point, it might be our best bet to half the amount of candies that we have with La Pucelle. That way, we don't have to deal with that group of evil girls just yet, and we might have just enough to beat out of some other schmuck who's not been gathering as much candies as everyone else. Once this whole candy business is over and done with, our next priority should be to learn some fighting moves from our dear old friend here. He seems to know a lot about combat and has skills with weapons, which seems to be pretty darn useful judging by what just happened between us and the evil magical girls. Also, since we can't be seen by regular citizens, it might be worth trying to head over to one of the many gun stores available in Japan and borrow whatever heavy artillery guns we can find. We don't know how effective guns can be against magical girls yet, but it's a hell of a lot better than being completely defenseless. And I say steal some guns because good luck trying to get one legally from those bad boys in the Sunrise Kingdom without any hassle. Back at the hideout, Swim checks to see that she's gained around 2,000 candies from Koyuki. The leader tells them that she's not going to split the candies equally. Rather, she'll give 1,000 to herself, 500 to Swim, and the remaining 500 to the other 3 girls. She calls the others idiots for nearly ruining the plan and checks the weekly rankings to see that she has been ranked the lowest out of the girls. As she lays in a pool of her own blood, the twins celebrate, realizing that their plan worked. Swim transferred the stolen candies to this dog-loving girl, Tama, equaling 25,000 stolen candies, and Swim reveals that Koyuki has 50,000, but decided to play nice and only steal half. Swim hides the body of the real-life leader, while appointing herself as the new leader of the group. Meanwhile, Ripple and Topspeed meet with Sister Nana, who suggests that they put an end to this senseless violence. The magical girl called Calamity Mary enjoys a drink with this robot here, commenting that she's earning candies by doing both good and bad deeds. The robot tells her that she needs to go see Sister Nana and help her out with a certain problem. She meets with both Sister Nana and Winter Prison, telling them that she has some special connections with the admins of the server, but it's going to cost money. The sister hands it over, but Winter Prison isn't too sure that the robot is completely truthful. They receive a text from Wild Cranberry asking to meet at a nearby quarry and head there instantly. There, they meet up and Sister Nana tells the girl that they need to put a stop to the other magical girls stealing candies and harming each other. Wild Cranberry tells her that she has some other things in mind and tells Sister Nana to stop preaching and ruining the game. Hearing this, Winter Prison stands in front of the sister and Wild Cranberry attacks them. They fight it out and Winter Prison quickly realizes that she's no match for the evil magical girl. She erects stone walls around her to position her to trap her and grabs Sister Nana, running away. Wild Cranberry easily gets out of the trap and watches as the two barely make it out alive. Fav pops up and questions why she didn't kill them, but she admits that Winter Prison is a worthy opponent and that they'll meet again sometime soon. Later that night, the injured girls meet up with the 16th contestant, Hardcore Alice. Sister Nana tells her that it's up to them to stop the fighting and mentions that Koyuki was attacked for having the most candies. She reveals her location and Hardcore Alice instantly leaves to go find her. Okay, if I were Sister Nana, I would probably take the time to reassess my situation and maybe call it a day, call it quits. While she is doing something very admirable and very noble in the death game that is full of liars, cheaters, and tricksters, you're either gonna be a scumbag and live or you're gonna die. Now, as Nana, our special ability is to draw out the full potential of our loved one's power, and that special person is Winter Prison. Out of all the magical girls in the game, we're the only two people that are pretty much a combo deal, just like burger and fries. Delicious. Winter Prison's special ability is to make walls out of nowhere, and combined with the Nana's abilities, we should be able to make enough walls to trap the entire city. However, we don't need to forget about all of our heroic ideals. It's just a matter of finding those who share the same ideas as us and combining our forces to take the magical girls who are pure evil out. And who else could be the perfect fit for the job other than our very own Koyuki and La Pucelle? Meanwhile, Koyuki and La Pucelle say their goodbyes for the night. That's when La Pucelle looks behind her to see Wild Cranberry waiting for her, this time one-on-one. They move to the dockyards to make sure no civilians get injured and battle it out. La Pucelle tries to get at her, but Wild Cranberry is too much. The evil magical girl knees her off of the building and vows to kill her. She leaves her in a pool of her own blood and is about to land the final blow when La Pucelle just barely dodges. grabbing her sword, and she runs at the evil girl, knowing that she won't survive. In the chat room, Fav notices that only 2 magical girls have shown up to hear the results, and she tells the girls that the game has added 5 new items, all with unique abilities. However, there's only 1 of each. Secondly, she announces that La Pucelle is dead due to an accident. Since someone has already died, the lowest ranked magical girl is saved from elimination this week. Later, Fav tries advertising one of the items to Koyuki, who declines and says that she's not going to fight anymore. Fav mentions that her friend may have been killed by another magical girl, and that these items may help her fight off any incoming enemies. Fav also tells her that these items don't cost any money, however they do take off years of your life. The more powerful they are, the more years they take off. Koyuki clicks on the sword, but realizes that it, along with every other item, has been already bought. Suddenly, hardcore Alice finds her sitting all by herself, and she walks towards the helpless girl, when the robot comes out of nowhere and brutally kills her. The robot admits that she's here to kill her as well, but the robot ends up being brutally murdered just like Alice. Okay, we've just missed a golden opportunity. Looking at each individual item, I would say it would be time for us to take the risk and do whatever it takes to beat this game instead of waiting around like Koyuki did. Fav has tricked us many times before, we know, but there's no way for that little snot to prove that all of these items can take years off of our life, especially if we win the game. We have to question everything that this little turd says, no matter how ridiculous it may seem. If it were me, I would have taken every single gosh darn weapon on this list. Our only goal is to beat this death game and make it out alive. So even if I have to sacrifice a few decades off of my life, I'm young. I have plenty more decades left to spare. I shouldn't have to worry about it after I make it out of the death game alive. Thinking about it more carefully though, how can Fav predict how many years of life we have left in the first place? At this point, it might have the answer to the meaning of life itself. By using some of these weapons, for example, the invisibility cloak, which takes 25 years off of our life, we can essentially cheat the game and hide away forever until the other magical girls take themselves out. Not only that, as far as we know, we should be able to use the cloak with other people, meaning we can protect and hide whoever else wants to join the cloak gang. If we put all the numbers together, that would equate to 49 years of life. Considering that we're still in school and Japanese people live to be pretty dang old, there's a very good chance that we'll be decades from dying even after purchasing the items. Koyuki wakes up with the keychain on her hand, and she's confused, and Fav suggests that she might have picked it up the night before. Fav mentions that hardcore Alice was the last person to have it, and Koyuki realizes that everything that she experienced wasn't a simple nightmare. It was real, and that's when she gets a text from Sister Nana asking to meet at a secluded location. Meanwhile, on the chat room, Fav announces that the robot has died, meaning that there won't be a loser eliminated from this week's rankings. Koyuki meets up with Sister Nana, and Nana consoles her about La Pucelle's death. They agree to work together so they can stop the mindless deaths, but that's when Koyuki notices hardcore Alice standing in the distance. Shocked, Alice agrees to work with them as well, and Sister Nana tells them that she'll be going off to meet with more magical girls. Koyuki runs out of the warehouse but is creepily followed by Alice. She offers her the keychain, saying that it belongs to Koyuki, and she explains that she can regrow parts of her body, meaning that she wasn't killed the other night. Her head was chopped off, but she regrew it and is back to normal. Dang, we need to watch out for this girl. If being able to make walls hear people's thoughts and make your own sword increase in size exponentially wasn't crazy enough, hardcore Alice here has just changed the game big time. This little girl has the lottery with her ability. She can't be killed, which means the only way we can lose the game is by having the least amount of points. Judging by how depressed she looks, she might not realize how lucky she is, especially compared to Koyuki's crappy ability. If anything, the rest of the contestants should look to make a truce with this girl ASAP by stopping the killings for at least 1 week to go collect some candies, but we know that's never going to happen. Sister Nana confronts Calamity Mary, saying that she's been using magic to commit crimes which is against the magical girl code of conduct. Mary tells her to not stand in her way and fires a gun at Nana. Winter Prison erects a massive wall to protect them and runs away from Mary with Nana in her arms. They travel to Swim Swim's hideout, where Sister Nana thanks her for sending the stolen candies she took from the leader. Without a response, Swim Swim paces forward and sends a robotic version of Sister Nana to attack the innocent girls. Suddenly, Winter Prison is stabbed by Robot Nana, and they reveal themselves to be the twins in disguise. However, Winter Prison isn't as hurt as the evil magical girls thought, and she erects a few massive walls to trap the girls in. That's when Winter Prison kills one of the twins and jumps out of the trap to take out the other, but it's too late. She's slashed by Swim Swim, which kills her on the spot. Meanwhile, Ripple and Topspeed wait around on a rooftop to meet up with Calamity Mary. Suddenly, they're shot at and realize that Mary is out to kill them. They hop onto Ripple's broomstick and ride off, avoiding her gunshots. The human version of Koyuki watches from outside of her window as they fight it out. Civilians are dying left and right, and Mary is causing havoc in the city. Koyuki turns back into a magical girl and is joined by Alice, who promises to help her. Hell yeah! If Alice isn't lying to us for some reason that would suck, then we've essentially beaten the game. If I were Koyuki, I'd be the happiest magical girl alive right now, and I'd also avoid getting involved in this massive war going on outside of my house. Using my abilities, I should be able to read Calamity Mary's mind to find out that she's truly absolutely nuts, and that she's out to kill whoever stands in her way, whether that be civilians or magical girls. Her finesse with weapons is enough to take out anyone from miles away, and that means she's a dangerous individual, which we have no chance fighting against. Since, however, Alice seems to be indebted to us, I'd simply let her go and take care of business. She'll be able to take whatever punishment comes her way, and that means she's a valuable asset to us now that our trusty La Pucelle is dead in the water. Mary continues shooting bullets at Ripple and Topspeed, trying to kill them both. Ripple decides to take matters into her own hands and jumps off the broomstick to face her mano a mano. And they fight it out, and accidentally Ripple steps onto a landmine. Suddenly, Mary whips out grenades and nearly kills the girl. Luckily, Topspeed catches her on the broomstick and saves her life. They travel back to the roof and send the broomstick flying through the building. Trying it one more time, they get caught by Mary's sniper rifle, sending them flying into a nearby warehouse. Now, they realize that they need to face her head on and kill her now, or else they'll be hunted for the rest of the game. They launch a surprise attack, throwing a shuriken into the girl's head and killing Calamity Mary for good. They give each other a hug, but Ripple sees blood on her hands. Shocked, she looks over Topspeed's shoulder to see Swim Swim, who just brutally murdered her best friend. The girl becomes enraged and attacks Swim Swim with all of her power. However, the pink-haired girl is too strong and disappears into the building. She looks over at Topspeed to see her human form appear, meaning she's dead, and she realizes that in her human form, Topspeed was pregnant and wanted to survive the game 6 more months to give birth. Meanwhile, the twins arrive to help out the mess left by Calamity Mary. Suddenly, she throws an axe into Alice's face, and Koyuki realizes that she's not here to help. And that's when she hears the thoughts of another girl and listens in to hear another girl about to attack. The twin scolds her for being caught, and Tama disappears into the ground. Back in the real world, the news reports on the massive amount of destruction caused by the magical girls, but they have no idea where it came from. Sister Nana decides to call it quits, becoming another victim of the death game. Fav announces that a grand total of 5 magical girls have died, meaning that 7 girls remain, and the game should be over. However, he has another announcement to make, and he needs to cut in half the amount of magical girls again, this time to 4. That night, Koyuki and Alice meet up at the beach, and she thanks the girl for helping her out, and they hear the news from Fav that only 4 girls will be allowed to survive. Hearing this, Koyuki freaks out and demands that they stop the killing, running away out of anger. Okay, at this point, Koyuki and the magical girl should realize that this game is pure evil. Not only have all the girls been brutally killing each other, causing utter destruction to the city and a lifetime of therapy, but pulling a bait and switch and asking us to keep on playing games means that we can't trust this game at all. If I was Koyuki, I would try to make the other girls call it quits on the whole killing business. We know that Fav and whoever else is behind the Raising Project isn't telling the truth, and this game is going to likely get us all killed in the end. Now, what can we do to get out of this mess? There are 4 of us left, and both Alice and Ripple are on our side. Swim Swim looks like she's hopeless, so we should kill her to make sure that she doesn't try to mess with us anymore. Even though she's an absolute beast, it's 3 against 1, and there's a very good chance that we can beat her. Out of the remaining 3 magical girls, she seems to be the type to make a pact and then backstab us, and it's in our best interest to take out any possible loose strings so that we can focus on the task at hand. We need to escape this game no matter what it takes. What we should do is to look into the previous deaths of the other magical girls, specifically those who died without any external circumstances being involved like that girl, and see what caused them to die. If we go full-on private investigator mode, we should also be able to find some news on what caused certain magical girls like herself to bite the dust. From there, we might be able to decipher a way to quit the game and go back to our normal lives, forgetting everything that happened here. Hell, at some point, it might be in our best interest to take a visit to the local police station and tell them what's going on. While they might think us crazy, there shouldn't be anything stopping us from transforming right in front of them and proving what we're saying is true. After that, we could spread the news to the entire world and get everyone involved in figuring out a way to release us from this disturbing game responsible for killing innocent people. people. The next day, Alice is attacked while in human form, and she runs to a nearby alleyway to transform, but is finished off by Swim Swim. In her final breath, she remembers that she needs to give back the keychain. Suddenly, Koyuki realizes something is off when she gets home from school, and she turns into a magical girl and jumps across the city to see the crowd of bystanders standing around an empty coat. She overhears what they're saying and finds herself in the alleyway where Alice is lying. In her human form, she thanks Koyuki for all that she's done and gives her the keychain before she dies. That night, Swim Swim and her gang hatch a plan to ambush Wild Cranberry. Swim Swim enters her house to find it completely empty, while Cranberry here is walking outside. She knows exactly what's going on and grabs a rock, throwing it onto the ground to reveal the twins now dead. Tama apologizes to Swim Swim for messing up, and they walk over to see the twins' lifeless body. Swim Swim tries to surprise attack Cranberry, but she dodges and causes a massive explosion, destroying all of the surrounding trees. She goes to finish her off, but is surprised to see that her human form is a child. Tama comes from behind, hitting her with a magic item. Suddenly, Cranberry blows up and slumps to the ground. Tama runs over to Swim Swim's human form, and she gets back up, showing little to no injuries. She transforms back into a magical girl and chops Tama's head off, killing the innocent girl, and she mutters to herself that she can't let her real identity be known. That night, Fav announces the weekly rankings. This time, 4 girls have been killed, so the number of magical candies don't matter anymore, and the game is essentially over with 3 girls remaining. In her human form, Koyuki receives a text from Ripple, and they meet up at a nearby tower, and Ripple asks her for any information about Swim Swim. Koyuki is confused since the game is over, but Ripple vows to take revenge for the death of her friend. Fav pops up and warns the girl to be scared of Swim Swim. Everyone who's tried to mess with her has died, but he mentions that the mass murderer has one weakness: light and sound. Fav mentions that the amount of magical girls might have been reduced to 2 and urges Ripple to get her revenge. Back at her place, Koyuki tells Fav that she wants to quit being a magical girl. Fav is shocked and says that she's a valuable candidate for having survived so long. Fav reveals that the entire thing is a recruitment project, picking one of the magical girls to become a member of the world of magic. This allows them to become a full-time magical girl or become a master like Fav and conduct further magical girl raising projects. Fav reveals that Wild Cranberry was a master but was killed by Swim Swim. Now that the other 2 girls are fighting, all Koyuki has to do is wait until they kill each other to win the game. Okay, now while I know it might seem like a really bad idea to listen to the very person that got us into this mess, agreeing with Fav right now might be a good idea. While the magical girl raising project may be very swick, twisted, demented, and responsible for killing some of our very good friends, it is going to lead us to our dream of becoming a full-time magical girl. Now we can do whatever we want for the rest of our lives, whether that be to travel to different countries, eat nice food we've always dreamt about, and never spend another day in school ever again because school sucks. Or we can become the master and make sure that this deadly cycle of death games never happens again. It's something to consider since we've gone through a ridiculous amount of trials and tribulations to get to this point. There's no turning back. Even if we decide to team up with the other magical girls and try to put an end to these games, if we become a master, we can make sure that the future games and participants aren't as deadly as the ones before. All we have to do is scope out the magical girls that aren't crazy children like Swim Swim, and perhaps by using a better selection process than a simple video game. Hearing this, Koyuki turns into a magical girl and breaks her phone, stopping all communication with Fav. She rushes over to stop them from fighting, but she's too late, and she arrives to see the human form of Swim Swim impaled on the ground, and looks over to find that Ripple is also dead. Fav pops up again, congratulating her for surviving without fighting once, and she attempts to break the device that Fav is popping out of, but Fav tells her that it's impossible. Suddenly she looks up to find that Ripple is still alive. She goes over to Fav and breaks the AI with her sight. 6 months later, Koyuki's friends discuss how popular the town has become since all the strange events began popping up, and they talk about the magical girl raising project being deleted, but notice that there are still supposed sightings on the news. Seeing this reminds them of Koyuki, and they wonder what happened to their good friend after all this time.
And if you want to get out of this death game filled with magical girls, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the How to Be playlist down below.